Hi, so in this exercise we're going to create a simple contact form using a simple table layout combined with form tags and commands. You will, however, need a web host that will allow you to run what's referred to as PHP scripts. Right, it's a programming language on the internet. Now, unfortunately, here in college, in this university, we won't be able to do this as correctly as I would like, but I will take you as far to the point as I can. But unfortunately, this will not work within the college systems because of the firewalls that ISS has put in place. So let's have a go at putting together a simple form. Okay, so we've opened up here on the Contact Us page and we're going to set up a form. Everything that you want in the form must be between the form tags so that when you actually hit the submit button, all the information between the open form tag and the closed form tag, that's the information that is submitted. So we need to go and do that first of all. So we're going to go open up the form and define the form. And the form name can be whatever you wish. In this instance, I'm just simply going to call it web form. You'll notice no spaces. You can use capitals if you want, but definitely no spaces. And no commas or punctuation marks either. So the next one is the action. So that if someone were to send this web form somewhere, what is it you want to do? So what we want to do with it is we want it sent to us by email. So we're going to say mail to : and again, please notice that there is no spaces here at all. Here you would actually type in the actual email of where you wish this to be sent to. So just for this particular instance, I'm simply going to say someone@somewhere.com. Again, completely fictitious. And the method that we use for email is the get method. So we're going to open up the mail properties, and the only thing that we need to change here is we need it to tell it it's going to be in text plain. So that's good in that instance. And the target frame we just leave blank for this moment in time. And I'm now going to say OK. Okay, so we're back here now, and as you can see, we now have a blue dotted line going around this area. This is telling us now this is our form area. So remember what I said earlier, everything that we want to do with our form must sit inside this blue box. So I'll just press return a couple of times just to open it up slightly for us. And at this stage again, I will just click save to make sure that we're doing okay. So I'm just going to click on save there. Okay, so now we're going to actually start to put our form in. You can put it in many different ways. I tend to put it in using a table, and the reason I use a table is because I can actually control what it looks like then far better than if I just put it in as plain ordinary everyday text. So again, that's exactly what I'm going to do here again. So I'm going to go to table, and I'm going to, in this instance, ask for 2 columns by 8. Again, I can only go 6 by 6, so I'll go to precisely. So the number of rows that I want is 8, and the number of columns I want currently is 2. And in this instance, I'm going to go for maybe 70% of the window size. And again, I can always come back and change this. And I certainly want no border because I want the reader of the website not to know that I'm doing this within a table. So I'm putting this back to 0, and I'm going to say OK. And now we have our table set up here. And again, we can change the width, the size of this at any stage that we want to. So just to be aware of that. So we've got the heading up here, Contact Us. So there are now all sorts of different things that we're actually going to put in. So the first thing I'm going to put in is name, : So I'm going to put all the actual entry issues in here. And over in here, I'm going to put the form types, the field types. So we're going to look at maybe 2 or 3 of them at least in this particular exercise. So I'm going to go to form, and I'm going to go to form field. And the 2 main ones that you'll actually end up using will actually be the text one and the text area, which you'll see very shortly. So I'm just going to go for a straightforward text one here. And what you can do here is you can actually put a field name in. I tend to put the same field name in here as I would for the name that's outside, because when it's then emailed, then I know exactly what the content is. So I'm just simply going to put in name in here. I don't want an initial value, so I won't put anything in there at all. Okay, I'm going to open up Mail Properties, and what I want to do here initially is just the field size. So I'm going to click in there, and the field size I think I'm going to put in for this particular one to kick it off will be 25. Again, I can come back in here at any stage and change this, and I'm going to say OK. So again, we can actually see here the actual field going in here, and again, Again, I can change that any stage if I want to by simply going back into the field area. Okay, the next line that I'm looking at here is I am actually going to go and put in the address. And for the address, what I want in here is I'd like a text area, because in the address area you're going to have at least maybe 3, 4, 5 lines for somebody's address. So for us to be able to do that, I'm going to go into form, but this time I want a text area. And again, the field name, I'm going to keep it, like I said before, the same as outside. So the address and then the rows. So you can actually put in, again, this is experimentation really. Actually, I'm going to put in 5 by 25, but it's not like it is in Word, like, or in a table, 5 rows by 25. And you'll see when I start to open it. Let's click open more properties. Again, there's nothing here that I want. I do not want any initial text yet. I will use this shortly, but not at the moment in time. And I'm going to say OK. And as you can see, this has opened up a text area for us. What I'm also going to do as I'm going down, I'm going to take these also. I'm going to say to go out to the right, and I'm going to bold them as well. So I'm going to keep formatting this as I'm actually doing it at the same time. Okay, so the next one I want in here is I want email. And again, I'm going to put that to the right. I'm going to bold it because I just think when we finish with it, it will look better. And in here, again, I just want a regular text area. So opening up the form field, text, that's grand. In here again, the field name, just simply email again. I want no initial value. Field size, I'm going to put 40 in here because email addresses tend to be quite long. So I'm going to put 40. If you've got any question in your mind, maybe increase it to 50. But definitely 40 you would need. So I'm going to open that up, and that's grand. I might even go back at a later stage and change the name to 40, just so it actually looks somewhat the same. But for now, we'll just leave it different so you can see the different attributes of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to simply leave this row completely blank, because, and again, for no other reason, but I think it's going to look better. And in here then, the next thing I'm going to put in here is comments that they want to make to us, or query, or however you want to phrase it. And again, I'm just going to highlight this, highlight just this, and I'm going to bold just this one. Okay, and for now I'm going to leave it there. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to highlight these two rows together, and I'm going to join them because I want to put the comment box going across the both of them. So I'm going to right click this, and remember, join the cells together. So whilst I'm in here then, I'm going to click back into form. I'm going to go for a text area, and again, this is the comments area. And what I want in here for the comments area, I think I'm going to start off with 5 by 50 and open up the properties. Now this time I am going to put initial text. So in the initial text area, I'm simply going to type in, please type your query here. And I'm going to say OK. And you can see it sitting there nicely like so. All right. And again, don't forget at any stage I can go back in and change all of this. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to move into is how did you hear of us? So again, I'm going to click in here and I'm going to say, how did you hear of us? And again, in this instance, I'm going to just, again, merge these two together. So I'm going to join those selected cells and I'm going to come down onto the next line. And again, I certainly will bold that in keeping with all the other headings I've done. So I'm going to bold that. I'm going to click in here. Okay, just before I go on to that, I think I'll just go back into this box here and I'll just try to center that, yeah. And I will put this to the right just like the other ones, just to keep it in track with the others. Excellent. Yeah, that certainly looks better. So we're now on to how did you hear of us. Again, I haven't saved for a while, so just quickly click on save to make sure that all my work is okay. I will, when I'm finished, actually center this whole table, but not just yet, because if I stop, it'll actually start jumping backwards and forwards on us at all times. Okay, so we're now into how did you hear of us, and it's the radio fields. So I now need to click into here, And this is where you actually will select one option. And again, you've seen these many times. And as we begin to do them, you'll actually understand what I mean by that much clearer. So I'm going to go in here and I want to go to form field, and the type I want in this instance is a radio button. Again, the two most common ones is checkbox and radio button. Checkbox is the square that you can select one or more, whereas the radio button is you must only select one. So it's the radio button, and the group name I'm going to call this is radio. It's very important to give it a name and to stick with the name for however many buttons you intend to put in. And so it's just important. The field value is 0 because there is no value to it. Okay, and I'm going to click on this so that when you actually see it, this particular button is the one that's initially selected until you choose the one that you wish to use. And I'm going to say OK, so you can see the button in there now. And the first word that I want after this one is newspaper. Going on to the next line, I'm going to repeat the performance again twice more. So I'm going to go into form, define button. Sorry, wrong one, beg your pardon. Define form field, and what I want in here is the radio button, and the group name, remember, is radio, the name we give it. The field value is 0, and I do not want it to be initially selected because I've already done that to the first one. So I'm going to say OK, and this one is going to be social media. On to the final one I'm going to do for this. Again, in we go. Sorry, beg your pardon, wrong area again. Form field, radio button. Again, the group name is radio. Field value is 0. And again, not select that, and OK. And the final one I want in here is other. Okay, I forgot radio at the very beginning. So I need to go back up here. I'm going to put it in at the beginning here. So I'm going to go to, again, in here, form field, and radio button. The group name is radio. Field is 0. I do actually want this one to be initially selected, so I'm going to say OK with this. And radio. And again, you can see the way it's actually no longer on newspaper. Okay, I'm going to save that. And before I go any further, I need to make sure that this is actually working. So I'm going to go out to my browser, go to my contact page. As you can see, it's starting to build nicely there. I want to make sure that I can only select one of them, and yes, that's what I want to make sure of. I also noticed there that newspaper was the one that was selected, so I need to go back and just check on that. So I need to go to this newspaper one in here and go back to form field, and I need to take that away, yeah, and I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to save that again. Go back out to the browser, update it, F5. Yeah, this time it is staying with the radio. Excellent. All right, that's brilliant. So back out to KompoZer now. Okay, for no other reason but to make this just look slightly better here, I'm just going to highlight these 4 lines. And again, I'm just going to use my increase indent because I just think it would look aesthetically better, and I think it does already, and that's grand. And the final one is where we can actually hit the button to submit or start all over again. So again, here I'm going to highlight these two together. I'm going to merge these two, so I'm going to right click and join the selected cells, so that's grand. So the first one I'm going to do, I think I'll just come down a bit of a line there, is I'm going to say, please hit submit when completed. And if I come up here, and again it's a form field, and what I want is the type that I want is a submit button. The field name again is submit, keeping it the same. And the field value is if you wanted it to be something like click to submit, you could actually type it in here. I'm not going to do it right now, and I'm going to just simply say OK, and it just will come up with submit query. If I want to change this, I'm going to click into here, and the field value that I want in here is just simply submit, and I'm going to say OK, and as you can see, it's done now. I'm going to go on to the next line. Again, I might just leave a bit of a space, and I'm going to click on or type in this instance to start again. Please click here. And again, back up to the form field. And what I want in here is a form field area. And the type I want is a reset button. Again, there are explanations of all of these in the book for you, so please read them whenever you have time. So the field name is reset, and the field value that I'm going to put in here is clear the form. And I'm going to say OK to this. And there's the words clear the form for us. Again, before I go any further with this, which I'm very close to being there, I'm going to click on the save. I'm going to go back out, update this, and submit. Like I said, it's pointless using this particular one because it's going to a non-deplumed sort of email, but clear the form should work for us. So if I click in there and type anything in, again like so, clear the form should clear, and it has. It goes back to normal. Okay, so the final thing I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to just simply center the table because I think it would look better centered. So whilst I'm in the table, I'm going to go to table, making sure I'm on the table tab, and telling the table to go to the center, apply it, and OK it. I think that certainly looks better from this angle. So again, I'll quickly save that one, go back to the browser and update the browser. And yes, certainly whether you agree with me or not, I do think it looks better when it's actually centered. And that's the contact page finished, and the last video in this series. I hope you've enjoyed it all.